Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaridhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaridhari. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanitari. Yamuna Tira Vanitari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha, Giridhari Sri Radha. Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha, Giridhari Sri Radha. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya, Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gidari Bhagwan ki Jai Jagannath Baleswara Mai ki Jai Gaur Nitai ki Jai Go Premanande all glories to Sumati Hare Krishna, all glories to Sumati Hare Krishna, all glories to Sumati Hare Krishna, all glories to Krishna, Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru ki Hare Krishna. I will just share my screen so we can read, go to Prabhupada Leelamrita. Okay. Just to confirm, everyone can see my screen.
Yes, Prabhu, you can see it.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So we're reading from Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita, chapter 10. He sometimes wondered how Westerners were so far removed from the Vedic culture could adopt it. They were meat eaters, malachas. When one of his godbrothers had gone to England, the Marquis of Zetland, on hearing the 4 prohibitions against sinful life, had laughed scornfully. Impossible. But Srimad Bhagavatam spoke for itself. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, thus cleans the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge for hearing his Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Although he was known as an English preacher, Bhaktivedanta Swami knew there were always faults in his presentations in foreign language, and there was no editor to correct them. But such technical faults would not keep him from printing Srimad Bhagavatam. This idea was also presented in the opening chapters of the Bhagavatam. The literature, which is full with description of transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a different creation of transcendental vocabulary, all meant for bringing about a revolution in the highest life of a misdirected civilization of the world. Such transcendental literatures, even though irregularly composed, is heard, sung, and accepted by the purified men who are thoroughly honest. Bhaktivedanta Swami wrote in his purport, "We know that in our honest attempt for presenting this great literature, conveying transcendental message for reviving the God consciousness of the people in general, as a matter of re-spiritualization of the world atmosphere, is fraught with many difficulties. Our capacity of presenting the matter in adequate language, especially a foreign language, will certainly fail, and there may be so many literary discrepancies in spite of our honest attempt to present it in the proper way. But we are sure that with our all faults in this connection, the seriousness of the subject matter will be taken into consideration, and the leaders of the society will still accept this on account of its being an honest attempt for glorifying the Almighty Great, so much now badly needed. When there is fire in the house, the inmates of the house go out for help from the neighbors, who may be foreigners to such inmates, and yet without any adequate language, the victims of the fire express themselves, and the neighbors understand the need, even though not expressed in adequate language. The same spirit of cooperation is needed in the matter of broadcasting this transcendental message of the Srimad Bhagavatam throughout the whole polluted atmosphere of the present day world situation. After all, it is a technical science of spiritual values, and as such, we are concerned with the techniques and not with the language. If the techniques of this great literature are understood by the people of the world, there is the success. Certainly, Kali Yuga was such an emergency. The house was on fire. Honest men who could understand the need would welcome Srimad Bhagavatam, even though it was now being presented with so many faults and broken linguistic technicalities. Bhaktivedanta Swami was presenting Srimad Bhagavatam unchanged, with the greatest respect for Srila Vyasadeva, and that was his cardinal virtue. He was adding his own realization, but not in a spirit of trying to surpass the previous spiritual master. In the all-important matter of presenting the subject strictly in parampara, Bhaktivedanta Swami suffered from no faulty and broken technicalities. He knew that without the parampara, the Bhagavatam purports would have no value. Day and night he typed at his desk beneath the small adjustable light that dangled from the ceiling on its cord. He sat on a thin mat, his back to the large pyramid that stood oddly upright within the bare room. Pages accumulated and he kept them in place with stones. Food and sleep, although necessary, were only incidental. He was completely convinced that his Srimad Bhagavatam would create a revolution in a misdirected civilization. Thus, he translated each word and gave each purport with exacting care and concentration. But it had to be done as quickly as possible. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Is it okay, Mata, if I stop here?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Mata. Sorry, if you can please, Mata, confirm that you can see the Bhagavatam verse for today.
Yes, Prabhu.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayatu Dhiraya Nastaparaye Subhatreshi Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamashwaki Bhaktir Bhavati Naishwaki. So today's verse is from Canto 4, chapter 22, text 57. Chapter is named as the creation of the fourth order. Durdharsas tejas sevagner mahendra iva durjaya titiksaya dharitriva dayur iva bhishta doninam. Durdhar Sastejas Vagner Mahendra Eva Durjaya Titiksaya Dharitriva Jayur Eva Bhistadu Rinam. I will kindly request if any Prabhujis would like to read.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam.
Pranam.
Darshas Teja Sheva Agni Mahendra Eva Durjaya Titikshaya Daritriva Dayur Eva Avishtadhoninam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am also trying.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Durdhasha Teja Sevagni Mahendra Eva Durjaya Titikshaya Dharitriva Daur Eva Donrinam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mata.
Durdarshaste Jashevagni Mohendra Iva Durjaya Titikshaya Dharitriva Daura Iva Vishtadhoninam. Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna.
Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I am also trying.
Hare Krishna Mata.
Durdharsastejasyagni Mahendra iva durjayah Titikshaya dharitriva Diyori iva vishadunirnam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, synonyms. Dudarsa, unconquerable. Tejasa, by prowess. Iva, like. Agni, fire. Maha Indra, the king of heaven. Iva, likened. Durjaya, inseparable. Titikshaya, by tolerance. Dharitri, the earth. Iva, like. Dev, the heavenly planets. Iva, like. Abhishta, the fulfilling desires. Nirnam, of human society. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaj Pitu was so strong and powerful that no one could disobey his orders any more than one could conquer fire itself. He was so strong that he was compared to Indra, the king of heaven, whose power is insuperable. On the other hand, Maharaj Parikshit was also as tolerant as the earth, and in fulfilling various desires of human society, he was like heaven itself. Purport: it is the duty of a king to give protection to the citizens and to fulfill their desires. At the same time, the citizens must obey the laws of the state. Maharaj Pitu maintained all the standards of good government, and he was also invincible, that no one could disobey his orders and any more than a person could stop heat and light emanating from a fire. He was so strong and powerful that he was compared to the king of heaven, Indra. In this age, modern scientists have been experimenting with nuclear weapons, and in former age, they used to release Brahmastra. But all these Brahmastras and nuclear weapons are insignificant compared to the thunderbolt of the King of Heaven. When Indra releases a thunderbolt, even the biggest hills and mountains crack. On the other hand, Maharaj Pitu was as tolerant as the earth itself, and he fulfilled all the desires of his citizens, just like torrents of rain from the sky. Without rainfall, it is not possible to fulfill one's various desires on this planet. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 14, Parjanyad Anna Sambhava. Food grains are produced only because rain falls from the sky, and without grains, no one on the earth can be satisfied. Consequently, an unlimited distribution of mercy is compared to the water falling from the clouds. Maharaj Pitu distributed his mercy incessantly, much like rainfall. In other words, Maharaj Pitu was softer than a rose flower and harder than a thunderbolt. In this way, he ruled over his kingdom. Just do the invocation prayer. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Utapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sajatam Sahagana Raguna Tavitam Tam Sajivam Tadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavane Bhayo Vaishnave Bhayo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Durdhasastejaswagner Mahendra Eva Durjaya Titikshaya Dharitreva Deur Eva Vishtatu Nirnam. So, in this chapter, we can see that Prabhupada is explaining us the qualities of Maharaj Pitu. And yesterday, Mataji nicely explained the two Varnashrama and the qualities of Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. Further, Prabhupada explains how, by highlighting the two specific qualities of Maharaj Pitu here, that how he was so strong and powerful. Same time, he was tolerance. And his strength and power has been compared here with the king of heaven, Indra. And similarly, his level of tolerance has been compared with the planet Earth. Now, Maharaj Pitu, king, a Kshatriya. And we know that Kshatriya dharma is to protect. Kshatriya itself means to give protection. And Kshatriya's duty is to protect who? Everyone. But from what? From enemies. Enemies of spiritual culture. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 31, Lord says, Dharmyadhi yuddhach shreyo nyat. No better engagement for a Kshatriya than fighting on religious principles to protect the spiritual culture. Within the purport, Prabhupada further explained that Kshatriyas were so strong that they would go to the forest and challenge a tiger face to face and fight with the tiger with a sword. In today's world, if you ask someone to go and fight a tiger, the person will think twice, thrice. Definitely he won't go. And this strength, Prabhupada has so nicely explained with the king of heaven, Indra. As a result, Kshatriya were responsible to take care of the Brahmanas. To protect the spiritual culture, you have to protect the source. And that during that time, the Brahmanas were responsible to maintain or to provide and educate those religious principles. Through these religious principles, an environment was created, which was favorable to Krishna conscious or to worship of Lord. So by removing any obstacles in the path of Lord's worship or Krishna consciousness, Anukulyena Krishnanu, he was able to fulfill the desires of all the citizens. Now, because of this, there was peace and prosperity within the country, within the state. As a result, they were happy to obey the orders of the king, because the king was looking after the ultimate welfare of all the citizens, Brahmanas, Vaishyas, Shudras, everyone. But in today's time, if we see the same strength, today's leaders are looking for the same strength, but with a different motive. Here, King Prithu had that strength, had that power, which was used for others' welfare. But today's leaders are using it for their own welfare. Why? Because of their own selfish motives, for their own sense gratification, for their own enjoyment, not to protect the citizens or people in general. This diplomacy does not last for too long. Hence, we don't see a leader lasting for too long too. Year by year, a new face comes as the leader. Re-election happens because of such reasons. So the true meaning of this strength, this power, has been taken in a wrong way. Power, or we can say bala, instead of spiritual bala, they have gone towards material power. And we all know that anything material does not last for too long, as this world itself is temporary. As a result, people are not happy to follow the orders or policies as laid down by these so-called leaders. They disrespect them. There's no peace, there's no prosperity. And only a change, a circle of, just like circle of birth, and then there's circle of new ministers and politicians back and forth, coming and going, coming and going. But why? The root cause is that this bala that they have taken in an incorrect manner, in an incorrect way, the message is wrong. It's not material bala, it's spiritual strength, which is what they need to focus on. Religious principles. So-called material strength is balahina, meaning without any strength, without the spiritual strength. As a result, there will be anarchy, there will be political disturbance, there will be no peace, no war. Sorry, war, which we can see. Prabhupada says, Nayam Atma Bala Hinema Labhya. One who is less strong or one who has no support of the strength, he cannot make any progress. So to make progress in life, one must be spiritually strong. And this is the ultimate, this should be the ultimate goal of the leaders, to provide that spiritual strength first to themselves and then to others by following the instructions as provided by Brahmanas. Once we have that spiritual strength, our faith in Krishna will increase. So these Brahmanas, they are the gurus. Srila Prabhupada, our acharyas, spiritual masters. And the only way one can receive this spiritual strength is by surrendering to Krishna or his direct representative, which is spiritual masters. Like a Kshatriya who follows the advice of Brahmanas, maintains a prosperous kingdom, meeting all desires of a citizen. Similarly, if today's leader follow the instructions and advice of Sadhu, Shastra, then they will be able to maintain a prosperous government, meeting all desires of his citizen. If one serves the spiritual master by following his instruction, will achieve the spiritual strength and success. So the key is we need to follow the instructions of bona fide spiritual masters. Srila Prabhupada says that while protecting through strength, they are as tolerant as earth. Now, to be tolerant, you need strength. So once you have that spiritual strength, tolerance will come itself. Tolerance against all the material calamities, the three kaleshas, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik, Adi Devik. The other quality of Maharaj Pitu that has been highlighted by in this purport is how he was so tolerant, like earth, which fulfills all necessity of all living entities, provides food, it provides shelter, it provides space for us to live. Whether people respect or care or not, still it's doing what its responsibility is. It's providing everything that we require, everything we desire, and people still keep on going misusing it. Why? Because they are not aware of the spiritual aspect They are not enlightened by the spiritual knowledge. Hence, they don't even have the spiritual strength. So, result, they cannot be as tolerant as planet Earth or Mother Earth. Within the purport, as Prabhupada gives a very nice example that how grains are produced only because rain falls from the sky, and without grains, no one on the earth can be satisfied. Water is everywhere, but when it falls on the right area, then the earth produces those grains, provides those grains. Not everywhere you can grow grains. So again, we are dependent on the earth. And earth being used the way, still it provides the food, the grains for our existence, for this material existence. Such rains are controlled by demigods, who all are servants of the Lord, who is also satisfying through sacrifices, as we know. So earth is doing this as a sacrifice. In chapter 5, text 29, Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. The ultimate benefactor of this sacrifices is Lord Himself. Within Shiksha Ashtakam, Mahaprabhu further tells us how one can be tolerant. Trinat api sunichena tar api sahishuna amanina manadena kirtanya sadahari. So one needs to be as humble as a blade of grass, tolerant as a blade of grass. Everyone is trampling on the grass when they walk. When we go out of the park, we are walking on the grass, but grass doesn't fight back and says, "Don't step on me." It does not protest. So humbler than the grass and tolerant than the tree. Following these religious principles as bestowed by a Brahmana, one can advance in spiritual consciousness. We can see Maharaj Petu being instructed in the previous chapters by Brahmanas, the 4 Kumaras. And following this instruction, we can see he's achieving that strength, that power, and as a result is more tolerant. In this way, we should be focusing at our own power, spiritual bala. Then only one can advance in spiritual strength, condition that they follow their spiritual master instruction, who's none other than the representative of Krishna. And as a result, by sincerely following our spiritual master instruction, we will be able to adhere the quality of tolerance, by which we will be able to be equipoised and satisfy the desire of all living beings as stronger than the 2 astras that Prabhupada has highlighted here, the Brahmastra, and he said that the thunderbolt of the King of Heaven is stronger than that. So, stronger than lightning is spiritual enlightening, which can only be received by the mercy of Krishna or his direct representative, spiritual master, only to a surrendered disciple. So to summarize, as Maharaj Pitu is showing that the strength and power that he had, with that he was able to fulfill the desires of all the citizens and help them to have a prosperous culture, a prosperous spiritual culture. At the same time, he was tolerant softer than a rose flower, harder than a thunderbolt. In this way, he ruled over his kingdom. And with this purport, we can understand that how for us to gain that spiritual strength, we need to imbibe the instructions of the Brahmanas, of the direct representative of Krishna. Then only we will be able to gain that spiritual strength and progress further. And as a result, we'll build the level of tolerance. Today, within the purport, within the Prabhupada Lilamrita, Prabhupada also says so nicely that Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge for hearing his Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtues and properly heard and chanted. So the instructions that Srila Prabhupada has given us, that his disciples are giving us, that our spiritual masters are giving us, is the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, and pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord. And once we sincerely surrender and follow this instruction, Krishna in the heart will do the cleansing for any material enjoyment. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. If there's any comment or question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
It's a beautiful text and this beautiful explanation of the text, inner meaning so nicely. And this is the other qualities, the continuation of the qualities spoken right from yesterday by Savitri Mataji. She mentioned about two qualities like moon and sun. And today we have three qualities of Ritu Maharaj, like fire, Indra, and earth, signifies their qualities, and that has been imbibed in Ritu Maharaj, and how he distributed these qualities to the citizens for their whole well-being. And that is how you explained so nicely. So the bottom line is to get this strength in our society of devotees, we need to follow follow the spiritual master so much so that we can be of this part of these qualities only through his instruction and following them strictly. And that is, otherwise there is always chance of downfall. So these qualities are very, very important. It's not an easy thing to achieve, but if we keep on trying, there is a possibility. So we look forward and follow the instruction given by our spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada. Surely we will be in this path. Yep. That's all from me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, if there's no further questions or comments, our
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for your wonderful class and sharing those important points. So very nicely these appear to be the contrasts, like spiritual strength and tolerance. So I just wanted to understand from you, Prabhu. So the spiritual, how to protect, like if I get the spiritual strength, and then if I get the spiritual strength, is there a danger that I might become too straitjacketed? I might say, okay, like what I'm like anything, I'll become less tolerant, of any differences. So I'll say, this is the perfect way. This is the perfect spiritual path, and anything else is condemned. Like anything else is to be discarded. So even small deviations or small differences from this. So how do I protect myself? Like, how do I become? How do I maintain the tolerance in spite of the spiritual strength? Or like, because I'm seeing this as contrasting qualities. That's I just wanted to understand from you.
Yes, Prabhu. As an example, like if those who go to gym and they do workout, they just don't go a day, single day or 2 days. They continue this habit of following a strict regime, and they maintain their strength. So same way, when we receive this, we get this strength by connecting to our spiritual master. We just don't connect and then stop. We have to keep on following his instruction. If we start thinking that I've achieved this strength and that's it, our master's job is done, then that's the wrong way of going. As long as you keep on following his instruction, the other qualities that we can see of Kshatriyas and Brahmanas will imbibe. Humility will come into us. We have to always remember that we are das anudas anudas. We are servant of the servant of the servant. We don't try to become the master. And this can only happen as long as you're connected to your spiritual masters and his words and his instruction.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you for that.
Okay, if there's no further comments or question, thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vacha kalpatarubhyascha
कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय हिज ग्रेस श्रीमती निताई प्रभु की जय जिला प्रभुपाद की जय प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.